There it is. Thank you, Christina. I'll share my screen. Can get started. All right. So thank you guys for joining us for this second section of the introduction to R. So if you missed the first section, my name is Joel Parker, and I'm a grad student here at University of Arizona in the Biostatistics department. I work as a grad assistant for the AZ Heroes project, and as a data analyst. I've been using R for about 5 years, and I use R in my day-to-day work. And kind of outside of work, I kind of specialize in single cell RNA analysis. So, I mean, Christina, if you want to introduce yourself, I don't know if we have the same people. If we don't, if you're new, give me a thumbs up in the chat. If you weren't at the first section. Okay, perfect. Looks like we have a few new people. So yeah, Christina, if you wanted to introduce yourself and kind of give your experience, and then Jiaji, you can go after that.
Do you actually want to go first? Sorry, I just swallowed some water wrong.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Okay, I can go first. My name is Xiaojie Li, and I'm a PhD candidate in higher education at the University of Arizona. And I've been using R for maybe a couple of years, and currently using it for my dissertation study and doing some analysis, social network analysis.
Right.
Okay. Sorry, thank you for that. I'm Christina Reamer. I work for the university as a data scientist, and my group works with agricultural data mostly. And I'm self-taught with R. I started out as an ecologist. I still am an ecologist. And yeah, I've been working with R for maybe 8 years now. So yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah, no, and it's one of the great things about R is there's such a large community. We mentioned that last time, where if you want help, you can find help. It's all online. But yeah, so let's go ahead and dive in. So if you're at the HackMD page, you can go to the lesson at that link there. And we went over this last time. So I think if you're new and you want to read this, feel more likely. I mean, we're just basically kind of giving an intro to R. Perfect. Thank you, Christina, for posting the link. So we're going to be this part here. So R can produce really high quality graphics and graphs. We're actually going to be kind of the focus of this second session is we're going to be producing this graph. It's a pretty informative graph about which baseball teams are scoring the most runs throughout time. And you can see how teams' runs per games change throughout the years. We're going to be using the layman baseball database, and we're going to be using the teams data. So we went over a little bit the last class about that package and how to import that data. We'll go over that now. But in order to get to this and to get the data that we want to have, we want to analyze and visualize, we're going to be using the tidyverse packages. So tidyverse it's a package that you can download and use for R that has other packages in it. It has 8 other packages. And let's see, so you can install tidyverse with, actually, let's pause on that for just a second. And we're going to be using an R markdown file. So if you're in your R studio here, you click on this little green plus sign. And last time we did everything in the R script. This time we're going to be using R notebook or R markdown. Let's go ahead and use R notebook. So what R notebook is it allows you to put your code so you can run R code, and then you can kind of explain what you're doing. You can create very visually appealing documents that also have R code within them. So all this text here. So if I was to run this, so this is just a preview, but let's say I wanted to knit, it's called knit to HTML. I could run this. Oh, I have to save it. Intro to R2. It's going to save as a .rmd file. And then we're going to knit it. And it makes a HTML document. I don't know why it's taking so long. Oh, so basically this is, let's see, we want to knit this. There we go. Not sure why that's knitting. Apologize about this. Yeah, it's knitting the wrong file. So what I can do is I'm going to exit out of R. Sometimes this happens with R. Anyways, it makes a very presentable R markdowns. So if it doesn't work this time, we'll just move on. Is anybody else having that issue?
You could try restarting our studio. I don't know if it'd make a difference.
I've never seen this
before.
before.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's running the book down version. So I'm going to try saving. I'm going to save it to a different place. Okay, there it is. Sorry about that, guys. So yeah, so when you click on Notebook, this is the R code that's automatically in there. So you can see we created this R chunk, and we have some text here. We have a header here. And so this is really similar to what I used to create the website on that we're viewing. And we're just creating this HTML file with this code in here. So what I'm going to have you guys do now that we have this and you've saved it as intro to R, we're going to delete all of this. And if we want to write R code, in the top left-hand corner, there's a button for the tildes. So to get the tilde, you hit Shift and then you hit that button. We don't want to hit Shift. We want to hit the back tick. So you hit the back tick 3 times. You say R, and then you hit the back tick 3 more times. And now you've created an R chunk. And you can run your operations in here. And this is the type of file we're going to be using for this lesson. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start by installing the tidyverse packages. So tidyverse, there is a lot of information on the tidyverse, and there's no way I could possibly teach that in 2 hours. So this link here is a very good resource for you. If you click the link and it goes, there's a full website, a lot of information. You can get information from all 8 of these different packages. We're mostly going to be just looking, like I said, at the dplyr and the ggplot2 package today. Okay, so to install the tidyverse, you do install.packages. And tidyverse. So it'll pop up automatically like this. If it doesn't, you can just put it in quotes like that, and it will go to when you type this, it goes to the CRAN, it looks for the packages, and then downloads into your R libraries folder. So go ahead and enter that if you haven't installed the tidyverse before. And give me a thumbs up when you're ready for the next step. Sorry. 1 second. My dog is an absolute killer. Okay. So we're also, we installed the layman date. Oh, feel free. Yes. Great. Thank you, Christina. So we installed the layman package last time. If you didn't do that, you can install the layman package with this code here. So we're installing 2 packages. Again, I'm commenting these out because I already have them installed. But if you haven't installed them, just remove the comments and then you click Control Enter and it will run. And we'll call this installing loading libraries. Okay. And so now we want to load the package into our R Studio. So to do this, we use library, tidyverse, and library layman. Okay. And then you click Enter. So you'll notice when you do library tidyverse, there's 8 packages attaches the package. So it attaches ggplot2, tibble, tidyr, readr, per, dplyr, stringr, and 4 cats. And we're only going to be focusing on ggplot2 and dplyr today. And then we do library layman as well. Make sure that's in our environment over here. So another thing you can do that's pretty cool with R Markdown is once you have this chunk and you have all the code that you want, you can click this green arrow and it will run all the codes in the chunk. So if you've already installed tidyverse in Llaman, then you can comment those out because you don't want to run those. And then you can just click the green arrow and it will run all the code. So now it's loaded those 2 packages into our environment. So next we're going to import data. So I've put above the chunk just kind of a description of what we're doing within this chunk. And then if I want, I can also leave comments in the R code, just like we did in the R console last time, or the R file last time. So we're going to start with dplyr. So we are using the Teams data. So we're going to import Teams data. So if you look up here in your R environment, our environment is empty. If it's not empty, you can click this little brush and it will clean it out. I forgot to mention that when we started, but that is a good, it's a good habit to get into, is starting with a fresh environment. So we can do data, teams.
Meant that students and researchers.
So now we've used this teams data is from the Allan data set, and then we're using this data function to import the data into our global environment. And then a good habit to get into when you load data in is we just want to look at the first 10, the first few rows at least, to make sure everything loaded properly. So you can see here within the markdown file, we have the first few rows, and then we can click these arrows to see all of the columns. So there's a lot of columns, and we're going to be using this data, and we're going to be manipulating this data throughout this lesson. So if we want to see how many rows and columns we have, we can do dim teams. So there's 29, 55, and 48 columns. So there's almost 3,000 rows and 48 columns. So basically what this is, it's in the history of baseball, every team's year. It's basically a summary statistics of every team's year since the late 1800s. And this is real data too. So I'm going to pause there. If you're good, give me a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, or if you have any issues before we move on. We want to make sure everyone's in the same place. Okay, so I'm assuming that we're good to go. So we're gonna start. We're gonna start by going through the dplyr package. The dplyr package is a great package for manipulating data. In the last section, we used the open and close brackets to slice through data and to manipulate data and filter data. The dplyr package allows us to do the same things, but much easier, and I think it's also cleaner. So to start, whenever I'm working with the dplyr package, I use what is called pipes. So we're basically going to take our team's data, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to apply this function. That's what this means, is we're applying this function to the team's data. And we say that with these, so it's a percent sign, and then a right arrow, and then a percent sign. And then you could do like this, head. So team's head is essentially the same thing as this. So when you click this, you get the head there. When you do this, teams, oh, it's capital teams. You get the same thing. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to kind of make multiple steps at the same time. So to show this, we're going to start. We're going to start with the filter function. So remember last time we used the open and closed brackets, and we use the which function to filter the data. So this time, what we're going to be using is we're going to be using the filter function. So use filter function. So we have teams. And then we're going to filter. We only want teams by their year ID. We only want to look at the teams after 1950. Okay, so we're going to use this year ID, okay, which is this one right here. And we want greater than 1950. So that you can see, we only have after 1951 now. Okay, is everyone good with that? Give me a thumbs up when you've filtered it for only the year IDs greater than 1950. Awesome. So as you can see, this is much easier to me than using the close brackets and using the which function. And that is really, I mean, at essence, that is the purpose of a package. It's to make things easier. To me, that's how I think of it. Because there's a lot of things you can do in base R, but there's many packages that make it easier than using base R. Because I've tried to use just base R because sometimes packages update and I didn't want to run into issues, and it turns into a nightmare really fast. So within this filter function, let's say we wanted to use multiple conditions to filter our data. You can also do that. So let's say we only want to look at team IDs who have Boston. So this is the Boston Red Sox. Okay, we can do teams. So teams, filter. Oops. So you do teams, filter, really same thing that we did up here. And then you do year ID greater than 1950. And then you use the ampersand. Now the ampersand is and. So that means both conditions have to be met. You can also use the or. That means only one of the conditions has to be met to filter the data. So this sign here, so what this essentially means, because that was the question, is what are we using the pipes for? So I don't know where this originated from or how they decided to use these pipes, but we're basically saying, take the teams data and do this. And we're going to keep doing that. So that's what this is. You go teams, and then we're going to filter the teams. You can also filter the teams this way. So like if you want to do filter teams, and comma, year ID greater than 1950. This here does the same thing as this. But I do think that this is a clean way of writing the code. And I think it makes it easier to read and understand what's going on. Does that answer your question? Ah, perfect. No, so this is not with just dplyr our package. So you see here, I use the teams, and then I use the head package, which is part of base R. But to answer your question, I haven't seen the pipes used without one of the tidyverse packages before, so I'm not sure. But typically when I'm using one of the tidyverse packages is when I use the pipes.
Thank you.
Actually a really good question, yeah. but yeah, so like, yeah, I use the teams here. I use the pipes with the tidyverse packages, and then head is base R. And so we're still able to use that function. Okay, so we're filtering on, so let's just say we want the Boston franchise and we want year ID greater than 1950. So we do the Boston franchise greater than 1950, then we use the ampersand sign, and we do franch ID, which is just the franchise ID equivalent. So this is important. We don't want to use equal signs. So if we just do the equal sign, it's gonna think that you're assigning a value to French ID, and you'll get an error. You'll either get an error or you'll get something that you didn't intend to get. So when you're filtering, and this goes for across R, when you're filtering and you want to see if something is equivalent to something else, you use the double equal sign. So one equal sign just stands for equal, two equal signs stands for equivalent. So we want equivalent, and then we want it to equivalent to BOS. So you'll notice I put BOS in parentheses here, and this BOS is a character string. Okay, so it's like a text string. If I didn't use this, it would think it's a object. So it would look for the object in your global environment, and then BOS is not in your global environment, so it's not going to work. But that will work because it's saying the French ID equivalent to BOS. So we'll do this. So now we have every year past 1950 and only the franchise ID equivalent to Boston.
There's another good question in the chat.
Okay, that's actually a good question. That's where I was headed next. So we can do that. So I had a different example, but I like your example. Let's say we wanted teams after 1951 and before 2000. Okay, so we'll do, and we only want Boston. Okay, so after 1951. For 2000 and BOS. Okay, so most of the conditions are the same, so I'm just going to copy and paste and put it in here. But the big difference here is we don't want everything greater than 1950. We want between 1950 and before 2000. So what we do is we can put this here, and it will check. It's similar. If you're a math person, it's PEMDAS. It's going to do the parentheses first. So we put in parentheses the two conditions we want to meet. So we want the year ID before 1950 and the year ID. Sorry, the year ID greater than 1950 and year ID before 2000. And if we wanted it, we could do before then or less than or equal to. So we can do it that way. So we have teams. So you can see it's all Boston. So look at all this is in one parenthesis. So this goes together and this. So this whole condition has to be met and this condition has to be met. And then we can put, so we'll add another pipe on there, and then we can put head. Okay, so the head is going to give you what we were just looking at, and then we can put tail, and we'll see it's only the teams before 2000. So we have Boston 1999 here. But if we do less than or equal to, now we have 2002. Are there any other questions before I move on? I think we're heading into our first challenge.
I ask you one last question?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So how you have the tail there, last code, you retyped that uh, that sign with the %.
Yeah.
So do you have to do that, or so if you could you the tail under that, or do you have to do that again?
I'll show you what happens. So it's only going to run the first part. So
Okay.
that pipe is how it knows to go to the next line.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is just a style. You can do it other ways. Like if I wanted to, I could take this tail and do tail like this, and it worked, right? But it's, to me, and it's really up to the user's preference. I don't think that's as clean, and it can get messy very fast that way. So it's really up to you. I really like using the pipes. It's because it clearly breaks out the steps that you're taking.
Thank you.
Welcome. So tail. So now we filtered all this data. We've done all this thing. If we wanted to save this data set, all we would have to do is assign it a name. So we can we'll call it tailed teams. You can assign it any name you want. That looks messy. We can tab it over, make it look good. All right, so now we have this name, tail teams, and we want to assign that name to teams. And then we want to run that function again. So now if I just type tail teams, I don't think I ever did it. There we go. Now if I just type tail teams, I get the bottom 6 rows every time. I don't have to redo the filter every single time I want to see those data points. Okay. Any questions? So I think we went through. Okay. So here is your first challenge. So this challenge, I would like you guys to follow it the best that you can. This is a little hint. So each one of these challenges are going to build on each other, and that's how we're going to create the plot at the end. So I want you guys to create a data frame called plot data. And we are going to choose the franchise IDs for LAD, that stands for Los Angeles Dodgers, then St. Louis, and then Minnesota. And we only want to look at teams greater, or year IDs greater than 1900. And I want you to save this data frame as plot.data. So here's a hint of how you get started doing that. And I'll give you guys about 5 minutes. Okay, just give me a thumbs up when you guys are ready to move on. All right, did you guys get it? All right, so here's how I did it. So challenge 1, and then we have teams. Then we filter the IDs greater than 1900, and then we use this symbol. It's the OR. I call it an OR, but that's not what it's called. But that's what it's doing. It's saying OR. So if a French ID is equivalent to LID, or French ID equivalent to St. Louis, or French ID equivalent to Minnesota, then we want them in the data set. And if you look in your environment, it should be up here. We have 360 observations of the 48 variables. And we'll do head plot.data. And you can see it's LAD. Isn't there? And so no. Let's see. No, because we want it to be either or. So if we chose and, then the French ID would be this and this. Both of these conditions would have to be met. But that's not possible because it can only have one value. If that makes sense. Yep. But this and is there because we want this condition to be met no matter what, and one of these conditions to be met. Great question. Thank you. So if we're ready to move on, good job. Give me a thumbs up unless you have some questions. All right, perfect. All right, so now we have the data that we want filtered the way we want it. One of the next, we should be ready to mutate. Let me make sure. Oh, this is a useful function. So this is the group by. Group by is very useful when you want to kind of understand your data a little better. So we have 3 different teams in this data set right now. So what I want to do is we're gonna leave the plot.data for now. We're gonna come back to it. The plot.data is only going to be for the challenges, and we're gonna use this this filtering for now. It's not a filter, but it's so to group by. We're just gonna manipulate it the same way every time, so we can kind of get in the habit of seeing it. So we have teams. And what we're going to do, so there's I think 32 franchise IDs. There might be more since the data is so old. But we're going to group by franchise ID. So what that's going to do is it's going to look at the franchise ID, and all of them that have the same one, they're going to consider them in the same group. And then we can use the summarize to see the mean wins. So what this is going to allow us to do is look at each franchise ID. So look at each franchise. And then we want to summarize. Whoops. how many wins on average they have. So this is, since it's each year, we're going to look at how many wins on average they have. Summarize average wins per year. Okay. So we use the group by function to do this. That's the main thing here. So then we do the teams. We see what we get. So now you have how many wins per season each team gets. So you really just did a very basic analysis. Like if someone wanted to know something real quick off the cuff, dplyr is great for that. When you have like repeated data like this, it's a little off topic from where we're going, but I thought it was a very useful function. Hopefully you guys can all use that in your data analysis. Are there any questions with the group by and summarize? All right, so I think we're good to move on. Perfect. So now to get the data, now we're going to go use the mutate function. So we're going to use mutate. And what mutate does is exactly what it sounds like it's doing. It's mutating the data frame. So when I say that, it is either adding a variable or it is changing it with some condition. There are many different operations that you can do within mutate to get the data in the form that you want it. So we've used group by, summarize to get different things. We've used filter. Now we're going to use mutate. So we can do teams. Let me look at the example that we have. I remember I had a good example for you guys. Right. Let's just focus on this part first. So we're going to do win percentage. So let's look at the names within in the data set. There's 48 columns, right? So we do names, teams. These are all the different names. So this G right here, it means games. That's just how they named it, how many games they played that year. And there's a W. This W is the amount of wins that they had. So that's not part of our coding. It's just part of the data set. It's an important way to get the names of the columns within the data set. So what we're going to do is we're going to mutate. We want to calculate the team's win percentage. And we mutate win percentage and then W divided by G. So that's wins divided by games. So this is different. This is different than what we just did with the group by, because with the group by and summarize here, we grouped things together first and then did the computations within those groups. So let's say there's 50 years of data for the Boston Red Sox. It grouped all of it together and then found the average wins per year within that group. This is what we did here. And this is, there's no grouping beforehand. So we take, it's the data frame and then it goes row by row. It looks wins. And so it'll go wins, games, and wins divided by games. That's win percentage. And it'll just do it for each row within the data set. So we do that here. And you can see, you don't see win percentage. The reason why you don't see it is because it's all the way over here. And you got to click. There's 48 variables you got to click through. And it's a big pain in the butt. So we can use the select function, which will allow us to select which columns that we want to have to show. So we can go, we do the pipe again. And then you select. And we can do, let's look at year ID, we can do team ID. Branch ID. W games and what did we call it? Win percentage. Win percentage. Okay, so we took the teams. We said, okay, create this new column called win percentage, and that's wins divided by games. And then we only want to show the columns year ID, team ID, franchise ID, wins, games, and win percentage. So that's what we have now. We have year ID, team ID, franchise ID, wins, games, and win percentage. So it looks like there's a question. Did the mutate function just create a new variable called win percentage containing wins divided by games, or did it just divide all the numbers in an existing variable by 6? No, it created by G. Yeah, it created, well, it's the same thing. Yes. So that's essentially the same thing as, it just took this column and divided it by this column. So if you remember in the last section, when we had 2 columns with, when we were creating a new column, we could take, we could use the $sign. So like this, we could do teams and then $sign wins. Oops, sorry. And then teams, $sign games. And then you could divide that. We did that last time to create a new data set. And then it creates a new vector. This is all the new vectors. So then you would save that as teams win percentage. That's what it's doing.
So that's just a really shorthand way to do it with the mutate function?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So yeah, so you can see what we've done here is we're really, like if we wanted to create this data frame here, we would have to go through and do the slicing. We'd filter our data set, save it as a new data set, and then we would go through and add it like this. And then we would save that data set. And then we would create a new data set that only selected the year ID, team ID, and what we wanted. Each time you run those data sets, it saves it into the R global environment. And what happens if you're not careful, and when you're working with very large data sets, you run out of memory in your computer because you're having to save these data sets every single time you want to make any kind of computation on the data set. So that's happened to me a few times. And that's really when I started using the dplyr package, because you could take, it's easier to take steps. It's easier to manipulate data all in one step. And it is possible to do it without dplyr, but to do everything in one step, but it's messy and it's hard to read. dplyr is really great at manipulating data with multiple steps, all in one way, but also in a very readable way. Perfect. So I think the next challenge is kind of challenging, which is good because it's a challenge. So what I want you guys to do is to take that plot.data that we created in the previous challenge, and I want you to use the mutate function to create the team variable. So you're going to create a team variable, and for when the franchise ID is equivalent to MIN, then that should be capital MIN. I'm sorry. So I don't let that mess you up. It should be capital MIN. When the French ID is equivalent to MIN, then we want the team to be equal to MIN. When the French ID is equivalent to LAD, then we want the French ID to be equivalent to LAD, and then same thing with STL. So we're really what we're doing is we're just creating another variable with the same French ID names. but I want you to get used to creating a new variable. Maybe we can change these. Actually, let's change these so we don't feel like we're just creating the same thing over and wasting our time. So we could do challenge 2. So we could do French ID equivalent to min, like this. We'll do, this will go to Minnesota. I think that's how you spell Minnesota. And then French ID like this for STL. It's going to go to St. Louis. And then like this. So this will help you out. Yeah. That way we're not just creating the same variable over. Okay. Good luck. I'll give you guys 5 minutes. Oh, Minnesota. Thank you, Kelly.
That's where I'm from.
So these team names, I have to tell you, these team names and this plot and everything is not random. These are my roommates. These are our teams. And so I have one roommate that would kill me right now. While you guys are doing this, I'll give you guys until 2, and then I'm gonna run to the restroom real quick. Okay. So I left out a step. So if you figured out how to do it, give me a thumbs up. Good job. There's something I didn't go over that is helpful to do this. So if you were able to get it, kudos to you. So I'm going to walk through this challenge with you guys. So let's see. Let's see what we have for plot.data. All right, so we've got year ID. We're just going to mutate this. So I want to plot.data. Okay. So originally, it turns out I had the same team names as the same as the branch IDs on purpose, so to make it easier. But this is actually a very useful tool to have, and it's called an if-else statement. So what we're going to say is we're going to say if-else. If branch ID is equivalent to LAD. Okay, so this if-else statement, so we're saying if-else, if this condition is met, so it's really, then we want to do an operation. Okay. And we're assigning it to teams. So we have if-else, branch ID, then we want teams to equal Dodgers. Okay. If this condition is not met, then we want to do another operation. We're going to do another if-else statement. So if-else, whoops. Like this. And feel free, I'm just going to write everything and we'll talk through it some more. Feel free to ask questions. Okay. And then I'm just going to select the branch ID and team. Teams. Okay. Okay. So there's a lot to unpack. This is my fault. Yeah, there was a reason. We could have just used as dot characters and just transferred everything over. But this is a good experience to see the if-else statements because you use these a lot when you're manipulating data. So we used like conditions to determine what we wanted the team name to be. So we went in here and we said teams is equal to if-else. And then there's a statement. So the statement is French ID is equal to the Dodgers. If that condition is true, then we want teams to be Dodgers. Otherwise, and then we did another if-else statement. So it is a not looped, but it's a nested if-else statement. So we have if-else statements within if-else statements. And then if-else French ID equivalent to min, then we want Minnesota, and just follow that same pattern. A useful thing to do is to get in the habit of when you've met all of your conditions, put in a, if you write all of your conditions, then you can put NA, and that could be a good check for you. But if I didn't want to, I could have taken this if else statement out and just put St. Louis. Right? And then not had this. Does that make sense? Because by this point, we've gone through, there's 3 possible team names. We had a condition for the 2. So if it didn't meet those conditions, then there's only one possible option, and that's to be St. Louis. But we didn't do that way. We did an if-else statement for every condition. But then we need a condition if none of these conditions are met. So it's NA. Because we should only have, so yeah, if that makes sense. Is there any questions on that? If you didn't get that, that's okay. That's
Is the NA just kind of like a quality control so you can see
yes,
if something
that's
isn't labeled right or something?
Yes, that's if something didn't work. So let's say I had like an A here or something, and it's just a man, and then I did this. Now Minnesota is in A. So that's why I like to do it this way, is because if I would have just gone to this, if I would have made that mistake and then skipped this last condition and just put St. Louis, it would have declared this St. Louis, and that's wrong. But because we defined every single condition and then did NA, if none of them are met, we can use that as quality control. That's exactly right.
Thank you.
Okay, so I just put this select in to show you guys how it worked, but we don't want that select. And then you can save that data, but we're going to use this format for the next challenges. So I actually think. Hold on, let me make sure there's nothing else we need to add, because we might start working with the ggplots. Okay. All right, I want you guys to go ahead and add, we're gonna mutate 2 more things. So we're gonna do runs per game and hits per game. So all you need is this. And give me a thumbs up when you've added those 2 variables. Okay, so now that we've added those 2 variables, go ahead and save this data. So we haven't saved it yet. We're only viewing it. Okay, so you see we got it here, but we haven't actually saved it to our global environment. You can see plot data is here, but it doesn't include these new variables. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do plot.data. We'll call it 2. So it's the second version. Okay, and that will save it. And then we can, so what I'm doing here is you see how I went back and I named it and it made everything kind of out of whack. I just highlighted everything and tabbed over. And I just keep tabbing until I'm satisfied and keep everything kind of organized that way. So now we run this and you can see nothing got printed here. Nothing is showing. And plot.2 has been saved. And you can see the 2 new variables that we create, 3 new variables that we created have been added. So plot.data had 48 variables and plot.data.2 had 51 variables. So we're going to kind of pivot and head to the fun part of this lecture, I think, the fun part of the workshop, which is working with ggplot2. So before we do that, if you have any questions, please let me know, because this is really, it's, you know, I think it's boring trying to manipulate data and get everything in the right format, but it really is the most important step. And it's also the step that usually takes the longest. So we want to make sure that I want to make sure that everyone's comfortable with what we did. And if there's any questions that we get those questions answered. All right, so if we're good, I'll go ahead and move on. So now we're going to start working with ggplot2. So ggplot2 is a package that I really like. You can create amazing graphics with ggplot2. I've used them. I use them for my work. Anytime I want to show anything, I'm in ggplot2. It's a little bit. There's a little bit of a learning curve with it. There's a lot to learn. So with all of these, I want to show you guys some useful tools real quick. So I guess before we go to ggplot2, so there's cheat sheets. So the Hadley Wickham is who created Tidyverse, and on their GitHub, they've created all kinds of cheat sheets. So like with dplyr, if you want to learn more about dplyr and you're just using it and you need a quick reference, these cheat sheets are awesome. And you can look at those and find anything that you want to do in dplyr, you can find there. There's also a similar cheat sheet for, gosh darn it, the ggplot2. So like when we go to ggplot2, you can click on I provided, like you guys can always go back to this website too. So I provided that link. You can click on these cheat sheets. And this is a cheat sheet for ggplot. So it's a little different than the dplyr package cheat sheet. So there's a lot to learn with dplyr. We won't get through a tenth of it today, but I want to use a plug for there's a whole workshop. I think it's tomorrow. You guys might, the helpers might know, but I would recommend going to that because ggplot2 is a great way to visualize your data. And really, if you're working in any kind of professional setting, your manager or your director, somebody is going to want to visualize the data because for most people, it does not help just to see data. And trust me, as a statistician, when you start telling people statistics, you lose them even faster. Visualizations is a great way to get people to pay attention to what you're trying to say. So let's dive into it. Let's see. All right, so when you do library tidyverse, like when we did that at the very beginning, it loaded the ggplot2 package. But if you didn't want to load all of the all of the tidyverse packages, you could just do library ggplot2. So that works just fine on its own. And the same goes for all of the, like the dplyr, ggplot2, any of the packages within tidyverse, you can load them by themselves, but tidyverse does it by itself. It'll load everything, which is nice. So the trick with ggplot2 is, since there is kind of a big learning curve, the trick with that is to just get something to run early and then add to it. So to do that, we have ggplot. Actually, I created a variable. Let me create this variable real quick. Yeah. So we're going to look at just the teams in the AL and NL. So and just the teams after 1950. So I want to filter the data a little bit. So remember, we're moving away from the challenges data. We're going to come back to that, and we're going to create some data called teams plot. And we're just going to take teams and we're going to filter. We want the league ID, LGID. Let me stay consistent with the way we've been teaching it. So we want league ID equivalent to AL or LGID equivalent to NL. And then we want the year after 1950. So when you get that data loaded, just give me a thumbs up. All right. Should be good to go. All right, so the primary function for ggplot is ggplot, not ggplot2. It's the ggplot2 package, but the function is ggplot. And we want to say what data we're using, and it's this data here. It's the teams plot. Okay, and then we're going to be using AES. What this stands for is aesthetic mapping. So this is where we're going to name our X's and our Y's, and we're gonna start with that. There's other variables to name within the aesthetic, but we'll just start with that. So we'll start X is equal to year ID and Y is equal to what I did. Home runs. So we're going to see if how our home runs increasing over time. Okay, so that's just home run. So we have created a graph, but we haven't actually graphed anything yet. So we have this, and this is a good start. So when you have this, let me know. Give me a thumbs up. And if you don't, we can't move on until you have this. All right, so we should be good to go. Perfect. So now we're going to add to the this plot. So to do that, we want to just click the plus sign, go down, and we're going to do geom line. Okay. What this is going to do is create a line graph. If we want to do a bar graph, believe it or not, we would do geom bar. But it doesn't make sense to do a bar graph in this case. So we're going to do geom line. That looks funny. So let's do geom dot. Or sorry, point, sorry. And that's going to make a scatter plot like that. That's a little easier to read and get inference from. So you saw we had geom line. What that did, it connected all the dots together. And then we did geom point, and that made a scatter plot. So some popular graph types are, like I said, geom line, geom bar, and geom point. I'm sure they're going to go over many more tomorrow. All right, so it looks like home runs have gone up, but someone might ask, what is it different between teams? So what if we wanted to visualize the different teams and if their home runs went up? So we can go back up here to this aesthetic, and we can do comma color is equal to what's the LGID. Sorry, not the different team. We want to see if the different leagues were hitting more home runs. So you can now see the ggplot, each point is colored differently depending on which league that team belonged to. So each one of these points is one team. All right, so give me a thumbs up if you've got it, or if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. All right, great. Okay, so I'm going to see, I have a challenge. Yes, okay. So now I want you guys to take the plot data, so the plot data 2 that we created in the last challenge, and I want you to create a scatter plot by team. So really similar to this, but instead of league ID, you're going to use the team variable that we created. And it's going to be a scatter plot of runs per game. So I'll put that in here. I'll give you guys till 2:24. Once you think you've got it, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Thanks. So if everyone's good and your plot looks the same as mine, then we're good to move on. Is there any questions? Sorry, I was muted there. Okay, so this is a good first step. So we've done the bare minimum here, I think, and created a plot, and there's scatter plots. I think you can get your point across with this. Maybe you can't, depending on the situation. But let's say you're going to publish something, or the public's going to see it, then you want it to look better, and that's where I think ggplot really shines, is creating just absolutely beautiful graphs. And there's a lot of tricks with ggplot too, and like I said, there's a little bit of learning curve, but we're going to go over at least some of the things that didn't come intuitively to me when I first started. So I wanted to put them out there for you guys, so you can start where I had trouble, because once I figured it out, it was easy. But it was figuring it out was the hard part. So first off, there's themes within ggplot, and you can make this look a lot better by just adding one line of code. So let's go back to this plot here. This ggplot, the teams plot. So we have the teams plot. So we're moving away from the runs per game, and we're going back to the regular lesson. So we have the teams plot, and we can make this, I think, look a lot better by just adding theme BW. So these are like packaged themes that change the way the plot looks. Sorry, theme BW. And you can see that that's one way to do it. There's another theme called classic. So you can see it changes the appearance of the plot. You can also do dark. And so these are packaged together. But you can edit all of the functions, or all of the appearance of every part of the plot. Sorry. So let's go back to the theme BW. We'll leave that in there. So call this setting generic theme. Okay. After I set the theme, I think the next thing is to properly label and title your plots. So to do that, we're going to use ggtitle. So we do ggtitle, and we want the label to be what is this? Home runs by year. And then we can also do a subtitle, and we'll call the subtitle, let's call it from 1950 to 2020. And that's just going to put those titles on. So you have home runs by year, and then you have a subtitle here from 1950 to 2020. Okay, now if you notice, our X label and our Y label are just the column names that we used, the variable names within the data set. So we can do plus, we can add a Y label and an X label. So let's start with X lab. And we just put in what we want the X label to be. We'll call this year. And then plus Y lab. Y label is going to be home runs. Okay. So another interesting thing you could do that is useful is you can assign this plot a name. It's like, let's just say I just want to call it P. Now the plot has a name. It doesn't show down here, but now I can do P plus Y lab. And we'll call this a different way for home run, a different way to label. Obviously, we're not going to keep this, but I'm just trying to make a point. And there you go, change the label. So all we did is, it's basically the same thing of just doing plus here and adding it again. And if you look, P already had a Y label, and we just changed it. Are there any questions with that, or how we're doing that with the addition and adding it, and then slowly adding onto the plot to make it look good? Okay. All right. Was everybody able to create this title? If you were able to create this plot, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. All right, perfect. Thank you, Noah. All right. Okay, so let's move on. I think we're ready for the next challenge. Okay. So we have this, we've added the labels. So what I want you guys to do is, I want you to take that same plot that we created before with the runs per year, or runs per game per year. And sorry, runs per game is the variable that we created. So we're going to use that same plot from the last challenge, and we're going to change the labels. Oh, there's one last thing I need to go over before we do this challenge. We need to change this. I want to show you guys how to change this legend ID, because that looks bad. So you can do plus guides. And then color, so that this label, this legend here is based off this color variable up here. So you do color equals, what was it again? Guide legend, okay? And then we're going to title it league. So you can see that changed the legend title. So what I want you guys to do for this next challenge is I want you to add to the plot in the last section by changing the theme. And then this was supposed to be bullet pointed. So I want you to, challenge, change the X axis to year, change the Y axis to runs per game, and then I want you to change the legend to team. And then give it an appropriate title and subtitle of your choosing. And just give me a thumbs up when you guys completed that. I'll give you guys till, I don't think we need to go all the way to 2:40, but I'll give you guys 2 or 3 minutes to do that.
Are we still using Teams plot for this one as our data frame?
Oh, sorry. No, we're doing the
Plot
plot.
data too?
Yep,
Okay.
plot.data.2.
Thank you.
So you're just editing the labels in this plot here, yeah. All right. Is everybody able to get a plot that looks similar to this? Give me a thumbs up if you guys are ready to move on from the challenge. We're getting close to what we originally started with, which, our goal in the challenges is to get to this plot. So we're getting close. But to get to here, we now have to kind of start to manually change the parameter, or not the parameters, but manually change the settings within the theme. So that's kind of what we're going to be going over now. So again, I am gonna get creative here. This is where the creativity begins. I'm gonna copy and paste this code similar to like we did last time. We have all of the information that we need, but now we're making the plot more aesthetically pleasing to customize it even farther. So let's go here. We're going to copy and paste the code from the website. I can put the link into the chat for everyone also. So that's where the copy and pasting this code in. And we're going to go through each one of these things with what I'm doing. I just know you guys don't want to sit there and watch me type everything out. There's a lot going on here, so we'll break it down. So if you're new to R, this might be kind of daunting, but don't let that steer you away. We're going to break it down one at a time, one little thing at a time. We've already gotten this far here. So if you've been following with us, we've already done all of this, right? We have this. So now we're just going to start adding things, okay? So we want to change these colors. So I'm gonna go one line at a time. So we want to change the colors depending. So we don't want this red and green. We don't want these red and teal colors. So let's say we wanted red and blue, which is the color for the certain leagues that they're in. You can do scale color manual. And then you're going to put in the colors that you want. So red and blue. That's all that we're doing here. So let's see what happens when we add that line. You can see the colors are now red and blue. Okay. So then once we have that, we're going to add, we're going to start making the changes to the theme. So the theme function, is a lot to unpack. So I'm doing question mark theme here, and I'm pulling up the help files. We went over this last time. There's a lot of different things you can choose from. You can make all of these adjustments in your plot if you want. I don't understand all of the codes. I'll be honest. I have developed a handful of codes that I know that work well for me. And that's really the ticket is don't try to come in here and try to edit all of the themes all at once. And don't think that you need to understand all of this, but we're going to go over a few of the ones that have worked for me that I have used. So to do that, we're doing the theme here. So we open up the theme function and we do plot.title. So that's gonna manipulate this. Okay. And this variable here, hJust, that's going to be a horizontal adjustment. So we're going to go 0.5. So that's going to move this title over to the center. So we're going to center the title. And then we are going to do, we're going to do the face. We want to have a bold face. So we want bold font. And then we want the color to be red. So when we run this code, the title will be moved over here. It'll be bold font and it will be red. Okay, we do a similar thing with the plot subtitle. We do the element text and we move it to the center. That's what this hJust is. And then we do color is equal to blue. And then we're going to change the color of the axes titles. So like the x-axis and the y-axis, we're going to change the color of those to red. And then the axis text. So we're just changing the color of the different entities of the plot. So there's a lot going on here, and it's understandable if you don't get all of it. And then the legend title, we're going to make the legend title red with boldface. So this will be red with boldface. So let's see what happens when we run this. So you can see we changed the axis titles colors to red. We made these little tick marks blue. That's what this was. The axis text, changed those to blue. And we changed the legend title to red. So we just changed everything one thing at a time. Are there any questions with that? I would expect that there is. So please don't hesitate to ask. So these colors aren't great, but you can manipulate them to be whatever colors you want. I was just trying to show what you can do with this theme. I mean, this is kind of a more advanced way to do it. This theme _BW that I showed earlier is essentially doing all of this by itself. It's almost like a package for your theme. You can think of it like that, a package settings for the theme of your plot. So I think we can do the next challenge. Yeah, so I want you guys to just take this theme from here, and I want you guys to just kind of play with it. So you can literally just copy and paste. So I'll show you what to do. You can take this plot from the last challenge. Like this. So it's the same plot. And then I want you guys to take this theme here, and I just want you to copy and paste. And you can put it here like this. And I want you to play with these colors and these alignments for just a little while. So now you have this. There's a lot of weird colors. But for this challenge, it's not really a challenge, but I want you guys to manipulate the entities within this theme function to get this plot to what you want. I'll give you guys 2 or 3 minutes to do that. Also, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat or unmute. All right, if you're ready to move to the last little finishing touches to finish the challenge plots, give me a thumbs up. Okay, so this is a nice plot, but you might not, you can maybe kind of see trends. You might not be able to see which teams were on average scoring more runs per game. So the last thing that I want to add to this plot before we go today is the geom smooth function. So you can go up here and we can do add geom smooth. And you can see the trends among time, and that we have arrived to the original plot that we showed at the beginning of this workshop. And this is a pretty informative plot. I believe you can see which team was scoring the most runs per game during which time periods. And I feel like there's a lot of information to extract from this. That's all I have for you guys. If there's anything else you would like to see or anything I didn't cover or anything that you're a little shaky on, we went over a lot. We kind of went from 0 to 100, but I wanted to challenge everyone. Yeah, so if you have any questions, please just let me know, or you can email me as well. I left my email in the HackMD course page, I guess is what it's called, the course page. Okay. Kristen, do you want to share your screen, or I can, if you don't want to share it with everybody, I can hop off?
Yeah, sure. That would be great. I can share. Oh, I can't share.
I can stop sharing.
Okay, there we go.
So, I can meet with you after. Okay, you're sharing. Perfect.
Yeah, so I had, let's see here. So this one here, I had GG plot data 2. I think the issue, so I went line by line and it said that they couldn't find runs per game. Or it looks like it's running, but then nothing pops up over here.
So the reason it's not showing, I think, is because you're storing it as P. So if you try just putting, yeah, there you go. There you go. So it's over there.
Okay, but then where is, I should have the blue dots too, right?
Yeah, try running that. Oh, so you have league ID. So you have league ID instead of the color as teams.
Oh. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
That answer your question?
Yep, thank you.
All right. I guess you're free to hop off. If there's anything else I can show you, maybe I could show you a box plot, something real quick. If you wanted to, let me share my screen. I utilize our full time. So like if I want to do so using this ggplot here. Let's see. We could do teams. That's a bad example. This is not great data for box plots. Oh yeah, there's GM point. That's why. GM. Oh, this is a bad example. Sorry, guys. Yeah, sorry I failed on the box plot for you guys. But if you have any questions before we got to go, feel free to email me or I think everyone's gone actually. No. Perfect. Terrence, do you have any questions? Noah? All right. Well, make sure to check out some of the other workshops. There's a few that I've seen that look very interesting to me that I'll be attending, and I think there's some very good speakers. Thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it.